Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us as we continue our drive home. Again, great conversations on Joan's show, including the conversation she had with several of her guests about the bro, I guess, what would you call it? The bro movement? It's not the bro moment because there were a lot, we called them Bernie bros, the guys who were frustrated that Hillary Clinton became the Democratic nominee. And here's the thing. As I was listening to Joan have these conversations, the idea that, that more people are getting access to education, to jobs, to moving up to social mobility in the different classes, moving out of poverty into the middle class, from the middle class to becoming wealthy, has been something that has been resented, not just in this moment. I mean, this is why we had Tulsa. We had a very, vibrant black community that was wealthy with doctors and lawyers in the early part of the 1900s. There has always been, and I know this is a theme that people talk about a lot. And I guess a lot of us had thought we were at the point where a lot of people understood that when we all do better, we all do better. I know it's somebody's quote, and I'm sure someone will text that for me, but I do think that, and somebody said that one of the guests, and I have to look up all the list of all the guests she had, because I know it was her guest from the Paul Simon Institute who, when asked whether or not Democrats, wealthy Democrats, billionaires need to start buying, and I don't think they need to. I think they needed to. I do think they need to. Now. I mean, it's not going to be too late until we don't have our democracy. When we don't have our democracy, when they start going after journalists, it will be too late. But if we don't do something now, this is 100 years of pain for people. And I think that I don't know what the distaste is for getting involved in media. And I'm so grateful to Fred, who did buy WCPT and kept Progressive Talk going in Chicago. And I know that the folks that run the station now are finding those paths to expand our coverage, to bring in other voices. And it is I guess hard on my ears when I hear someone say the Democrats don't really do rage, right? But we should, because the things that they are outraged by, that the conservatives, the ultra-right extremists they get angry about, is when somebody gets something they think they deserve, or they think something is being taken away from them. And the people that are taking it away from you are the Republicans and the ultra-wealthy. If you think about the rates at which people who commit small crimes, petty crimes, or even violent crimes, they are more likely to be prosecuted and put into and found guilty and put in jail, punished. And yet the level at which people who commit white-collar crimes get prosecuted and convicted is so rare that people on the right were like, I don't know why they're charging Trump with this. Nobody ever gets charged with this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's part of the problem. And it is the deep pockets in this country that have there's a great piece by Heather Cox Richardson. I recommend that you check out her Substack and subscribe to her newsletter. But she goes back and talks about the industrialization of the United States and how conservatives started basically buying politicians in order to suppress the lower classes into servitude. And we talked about this yesterday with my guests, my co-hosts, with Dwayne Kennedy and Joe Kilgallen and Scott Perlman, about this idea of they want basically a monarchy. They want this utopia of rich white guys. This is what the ultra rich want. I mean, like, watch some of these videos, these TikTok videos and on social media and different platforms. The one guy who used to work for the Trump administration, I'm sure he's going to have a position, but he talks about how he hands out counterfeit $20 to poor people. And his logic is that it'll make them happy in the moment. He's made somebody's day better. And then when they go to use it, hopefully, he says, they'll be arrested and incarcerated. And then he's done it. Then he's gotten people off the street who don't belong there. And that is how George Floyd died. They don't care. We are disposable. So I think that we do have something to be angry about. It is the ultra-conservatives who have handed over our democracy, our country, our future. They have made our lives more dangerous, unhealthy. And here we are. They're upset about bathrooms and girls' sports for the first time ever. Because, look, I was an athlete in high school as a kid, and we were basically like just patted on the head like, oh, look at you trying to be like the boys. When I had a passion for playing baseball and softball and being a swimmer. You know, and I don't know how I would have reacted if somebody was transitioning and they wanted to swim on my team. But to elevate these people as though, you know, trans individuals who make up such a small part of the population yet draw so much of the rage, the hundreds of millions of dollars that were spent in order to direct the rage at trans individuals, and yet nothing to talk about how we are going to make the lives of middle-class people better, to point the finger at migrants. And I agree with, there were so many great conversations on Joan's show about how, I don't know the extent to which they are going to deport, right? And because if they do, there are going to be some really wealthy people who are going to be angry because they don't have cheap labor because they won't pay people what they're worth. So we do have a place to be outraged and who to be outraged with. It is it is the people who have bought and sold our freedoms right before us because the bros are mad because they feel like we shouldn't have. Believe me, it is not women who are getting abortions that are making your life worse. It is not people who are either coming here to seek a better life or asylum that are making your life none of that. It is entirely the ultra-conservatives and the uber-wealthy, because since Ronald Reagan, and again, this has been going on for over 100 years, where they've been chomping at the bit to take over this country. And under Reagan, bringing down the tax rate for corporations and the uber wealthy, that right there, you could, and so many other things that he did by weakening the unions. And now you have this villain out of a James Bond movie, Elon Musk, laughing about how if someone threatens to strike, we just fire them. And that's who you wanted to put into office because it's just cool to vote for Trump because you think that our bodies are your choice forever. Give me a break that we don't have more to be outraged about, because your outrages are that you are petty and you are vindictive and you don't think that anybody else deserves to be safe. I'm going to take a break here. We'll be right back after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive.
Greg is on the line from Lake in the Hills.
I always recommend your show to everybody. I just really like your style. I like that you're a reporter, that you've got a background in reporting, and I just find your show and all your guests, like Jim especially, and Bobby and Dave, I think it is. I listen to all the time, and, you're great.
Joan Esposito, weekday afternoons 2 to 5 on WCPT 820.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
There's no better way to defend democracy in front of your fascist Republican friends than with a cold progressive beer from the Minocqua Brewing Company of Wisconsin. So head on over to Beer on the Wall in Schaumburg, Doty Liquors in Elmhurst, Captain Jack's Beverages in Worth, or the Wilmette Market to pick up a 4-pack or couple 2-3 of Maga Tears IPA today. Don't forget to drink and vote responsibly.
The court took away what her mama fought for.
Lady B gave me the gesture of meditation behind the glass. She said, take a break. She also said that she liked that rant. My husband asked me also to pace myself. But so here, let's try. We'll do a little of, let's see, do a little of this. Yeah. Nope, not going to work. So here's the thing. The reason I didn't even mean to come in hot on the conversations that Joan talked about, but I mentioned this earlier this week, and I've mentioned this over the last couple of years, the last couple of weeks, about the women who have died across the country because of the lack of access to abortion care, because doctors dithered while women died. And there was a report today. Oh my God, I'm so angry. I should be ready with my finger on the dump button. You guys, in Texas, the Maternal Mortality Committee did not review the deaths for the first 2 years post Roe v. Wade being overturned, because they said, I know some people are driving. Some people were like, hey, could you put that meditation music? I don't hear. Does it work to be angry with the meditation music? They said that they needed more time because they wanted to offer more timely recommendations while women died in bathrooms, in parking lots, in their homes, in the emergency waiting rooms. And there are states in this country who, with restrictive abortion bans, who are not cataloging. They're not even checking the box when there is a woman who has died, whether or not she was pregnant, so that they don't have to admit that it was a lack of reproductive care. Hold on a second. Let me just put this up. Ah! Sorry, was that on the mic? Okay. The music didn't work, Lady B. I'm going to tell you that right now. Oh, my God. All right. Maybe David and David, do you want to talk about economics? How's it going, David?
Well, thanks, Patty. And
I won't yell at you. I promise I won't yell at you.
No. You're right on. You're spot on. And I would tie it to duty to care.
Yeah.
You know, if you read the Declaration of Independence, if you read the Constitution, there's supposed to be equal protection under the law. There's supposed to be equal justice under the law. And the idea that the kings of yore basically declared that they had the ability to decide about everything and that we had no decisions, and that we're trapped without duty to care.
Yeah.
That whether it's a king or whether it's the Congress, that they have no duty to care. And the foundations of America was that we, the people, are putting in our money, our tax money, on April 15th to get programs that serve us. But all of a sudden, you get some misers and skinflints and bigots that say that there is no duty to care.
Yeah.
So, you are spot on. I mean, basically, these people are lying phonies, and they're pretending that they have some, superior wisdom that tells us that we shouldn't even think about having a life of our own.
Exactly.
So they are lying phonies, and we shouldn't be duped by that.
I agree. We should not be and yet, folks have either allowed themselves to be manipulated into believing who is at fault for this, rather than the conservatives and the uber wealthy, to point fingers at more vulnerable communities. And the young men who, if we don't do something now, I mean, and I don't know if it's biology and mixed with tradition. And I know, again, Joan was talking about this with one of her guests about how, a lot of people talk about, well, my parents were able to buy a house and buy a boat and get a summer home and all those things. Yeah, because they didn't have the full weight of the policies of the Reagan economics of trickle down. And we have, as Tom Hartman has said, we have flooded it all up. And that's how our futures got wiped out.
Well, it's certain that we don't need to be flooded out. And I don't know if you've ever studied when 1776 happened. You remember Washington was freezing at Valley Forge. And if you go into the economics of that, the the 13 colonies made up 13 different types of money, and the 13 different currencies were used to pay for. They were like revolutionary money instead of British pounds, and the revolutionary money was being counterfeited by the British. And so George Washington was freezing at Valley Forge because he didn't have any revolutionary money that people could trust, because there was so much counterfeit. Well, Ben Franklin and the printers of the day got together and put together what was called the New American Tenor. And that was a currency that couldn't be counterfeited, or it couldn't be counterfeited as an easy thing. And part of that was, just as a side note, in New Jersey, they took some leaves that were local types of plants that could only be grown in New Jersey, and they embossed them into the paper. And so the British would have had to gathered sacks and sacks of those leaves and haul them to England to be able to print up the counterfeit. And that bought enough time to be able to have the revolutionary money buy firewood for George Washington at Valley Forge, or bullets, or anything else. But again, the freezing at Valley Forge was tied to the counterfeiting of it. Well, if we look at the Heritage Foundation, they're counterfeiting our reputations. They're counterfeiting the value of America, and they're pretending that their so-called wisdom is more powerful than us. So Ralph Nader and Howard Zinn and any number of other people have talked about creating local currencies, and that those local currencies can supersede what the phonies who have been given nonprofit status, like the Heritage Foundation, who are not providing duty to care, who are the Federalist Society, who are phonies and don't even live up to the Federalist notions. They have a nonprofit status, and they're taking tax breaks for providing bad information to America, sabotorial types of information, sabotaging America's principles. So we, the people, have got to gather whether it's local leaves, we've got to figure out some way to have a local currency. And the old boys, the Federalist Society's money is no good here.
Yeah.
That's an old expression back in the 30s. You know, your money is no good here. And the rich guy would come into the inn to try to get fed, and everybody'd sneer at him, get out of here. Your money's no good here.
We're all in a mood tonight, aren't we, David?
Oh, yeah, but that's the solution. And then, of course, find out the companies that are part of the Project 2025 and boycott them. And an easy one is the Cokes. You know, don't buy any paper products. I think Gulf and Gulf Gasoline, Chevron is somebody that's very supportive of murder in Gaza. They've got the mineral rights in Gaza. Boycott the Cokes. Boycott Ulene. Ulene is a big paper products company. And the more that we buy by Amazon, the more Ulene gets paid.
Yep.
So, get back to doing local purchases without the need to cut down the rainforests and create cardboard for Ulene.
I'm sorry. These people don't what? Go ahead.
No. Finish. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I try to do anything I can to not buy things new either. I've been going to thrift stores and online with Buy Nothing, and I want to tell you to your point about not spending money with we don't want to spend money with these folks anymore. There is an app and a website called Goods Unite Us, and it will show you. You can type in the name of a company, or you can scroll through and see all the companies that contribute more to Republicans than they do to Democrats, and there's even ratings about where they stand on taking corporate money out of, they're for campaign finance reform. There's a company like Agile Therapeutics does not donate significant amounts to any politician or PACs. So things like that, but they do support campaign finance reform. But let's say Afrin Bear, right? They have 65% of their donations to politicians goes to Republicans. They do some to Democrats, but 65% goes to Republicans. So Goods Unite Us is a really good place to start, folks. And be mindful. Can I be honest with you, David? I went to this website and I wanted some wine, but I wanted to go someplace I knew supported Democrats, and Walgreens donates more to Democrats. And then I found 2 wine companies, Apothic and I can't remember the other one, but I bought 2 bottles of wine at Walgreens based on this app. So I think that we do need to do more of that, David, to your point.
Sure. Yeah, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And the money, whether it's American money or Zimbabwean money, is supposed to represent the people of that nation and the principles that they hold dear. But if we end up with some phony nonprofits like the Heritage Foundation and the Federalist Society that create false means for our value of our nation, then we need to not only yank their nonprofit status, but we need to create our value again. I agree. Oh, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it, David. Great. Good to hear from you. Have a lovely weekend. Will do. Happy holidays. I'm going to get all radical. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. May the calendar keep... I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, including Yalda. Yalda is the oldest holiday known to man. That's when the days start getting longer. And apparently the old cavemen used to shiver in their caves and notice that the days were getting shorter and shorter, and they were afraid, and they prayed to God, make the days get longer. And Yalda, all of a sudden they started getting longer, and they could stop shivering. Interesting. All right. Is it Y-A-L-D? Yalder? Y-A-L-D-A, I think. And Yalda. It comes from the ancient Persians. Interesting. I'm going to look that up. I will celebrate Yalda. I would very much like to have longer days again. Thank you, David. Be well. Yeah. Thanks. Take care. You too. Rachel, let's talk about companies that support Trump as well. Hey, Rachel in Park Ridge, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing well, thank you. I just wanted to say your meditation music, once you started talking, it became rage music. I mean, I loved it, though. How can you? We're passionate about this. We're not going to get calm. We're not going to get quiet about anything. Nope. But I just want to follow up with what the last caller said. This is hitting people financially is the only way we're going to get people's attention. I'm sick of it. I'm watching what I buy, who I spend my money with, and I think we need to organize a list, or maybe it's by state or what have you. But how these companies that betrayed us, betrayed democracy. I cannot spend my money with these people no more. I agree. And again, the app and the website is Goods Unite Us to get a list. Now, I will say that if you look up Amazon, they have a blue donkey next to them because he has given more. So you have to look at the analysis of why why Bezos got a donkey. Of course, based on what we know in regards to putting his thumb on the scale with the endorsements from the Wall Street Journal and visiting Mar-a-Lago. Right. There's more to it. Right, and I want to go beyond that because I just saw, online, Roscoe's, they had a big Trump balloon or blow up outside, and, it has changed over the years. So especially for African Americans, and people in general, we get hooked on certain businesses and we give them our business for years and years, and then the management changes or their political stance changes, and we need to be aware of that. So a user posted their Roscoe's chicken recipe online, they said, hey, we're not supporting them anymore. Yeah. They don't represent us. They don't represent our community. So you can think about your favorite place, and look deeper and see what they did. a lot of these businesses, they give to both parties. So I don't want to just use that as the matrix. Like you said, you got to look further into, what they did this last cycle.
Well, that's
but I'm in agreement.
Yeah, and that's why I like this app, Goods Unite Us, or GoodsUniteUs.com, because it'll put the donkey, but then it'll say, but they did contribute to Republicans. Here's how much they support campaign finance reform. So it's a start. So you can avoid the elephants altogether. It's donkeys, elephants, and they're like a thumbs up because they don't support any politicians, that kind of stuff. So I highly recommend GoodsUniteUs.com. Let me see.
I'm gonna go look at it now.
Yep.
No problem.
And of course, Amway almost 100% gives to Republicans. Of course. Thank you so much, my friend. Have a good weekend. Take care.
God bless.
God bless. If my wonderful callers would hold on, I have an interview coming up that we're going to talk about the renovations of a mall, and I want to come to you. I'll have time right after that, so if you'd please hang on, or if you want to call back, I encourage you to do so. Just hang in there for a few minutes because we want to talk about some holiday shopping. Speaking of shopping, but then you can find out what stores are there, and then find out. You go to Goods Unite Us, and you can do your research. You can be all planned ahead. So we're going to talk to Jeanne Heller from North Riverside Park Mall. She's the marketing director, and we're going to talk about the renovations and some holiday shopping. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
The Hal Sparks radio program.
I have been struggling to find a way to use AI in my life at all because I'm a creative person. I don't need it to be creative on my behalf. I understand why marketing people are like, write me some sort of dumb copy for this terrible product I don't need.
Every time I see an AI option, it's like, click this AI. It'll make it longer. And I'm like, just put a bunch of word vomit in there. I can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Hal Sparks, Saturdays from 11 to 1 on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Catching up on some of our information for this station. I want to let you know that tomorrow on The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, he'll be joined by David Pepper, the author of Laboratories of Autocracy, Seth Kotler, author of the Substack newsletter Rightlandia, and a forthcoming book on the far-right takeover of the GOP, and trans activist Charlotte Clymer, author of Charlotte's Web Thoughts on Substack. My trays are a little bit more cumbersome tonight than usual. I have Invisalign, and I feel like I'm tripping all over my teeth. So that'll be tomorrow on The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Now, if you're unable to catch the show live, you can always go to heartlandsignal.com and find Edwin's podcast, The Big Picture, or my podcasts, Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. Oh, just Driving It Home. But if you type Driving It Home, it'll pop up. We have two podcasts, Driving It Home full episodes and Driving It Home featured interviews. You can subscribe to one or both, and those podcasts are available on Spotify, Apple, Podcast TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon. Just everywhere you listen to your podcasts. You can search, again, for Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez, or get the links on the Driving It Home show page by visiting heartlandsignal.com. You can click on my picture, and you should visit that website anyway, so you can see all the great work that they do in the Heartland Signal newsroom, and follow them on all your social media platforms. You don't want to miss any of the stories that they cover. Let's get to Jeanne Heller. Hi, Jeanne. How are you doing? Am I pronouncing your first name correctly?
You are, Patti. Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. You're breaking in with some fun, lighthearted news with this one.
Yes, I know. I guess you heard me screaming earlier. Yes, we have a delineation, a line of delineation between that and our conversation. Because
taking a break.
Exactly. Yeah. Because look, I some years I'm good about getting my shopping done. Other years it gets away from me. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation so I can be aware of some of my options to go shopping. Tell us a little bit about Riverside Mall and the recent renovations. First of all, let's start with where it's located so folks know.
We are located at Harlem and Cermak in North Riverside, so well-known, kind of right on the border of Berwyn. We attract a lot of visitors from Oak Park, from Chicago, from Brookfield, from Riverside, so we kind of circle that area, but we get people coming from the western suburbs too lately. And this renovation has done a great job at pulling people in. It's really updated and bright, and it's really vibrant. It's kind of an energized place to go and do shopping if you need a little boost.
Excellent. And how long has this mall been there?
So this mall has been here. Next year will be 50 years. We recently did a ribbon cutting to announce the renovations. It was really fun to see how many of the media had come here. There seemed to be a lot of teenage boys that were riding their bikes here when they weren't supposed to before the mall opened. So they had all seen it, 48 years ago or 49 years ago. It was kind of fun to hear their stories.
Wow.
So the mall's got a history. But we are owned by a group called the File Organization. They're based in New York. They own a couple of shopping centers. They own a lot of properties in Fulton Market. They own a lot of properties in New Orleans and Florida, but they really give back to the communities that they're in, which is nice that we're one of only 2 of their shopping centers, and they believe in this community. So that's where they've owned them all for 20 years. They redid the food court 5 years ago, and then this was a chance to kind of update everything that may get a little bit tired. A lot of people walk a lot of miles on tile and when you're in a mall, so at some point you can't replace any more of those tiles. And to be able to have the opportunity to replace everything at one time makes it really cohesive and makes it look like a brand new mall.
Well, especially at a time when we think of, I thought it was so funny in, shows like The Stranger Things and on social media, right? There's this sort of, folks are reminiscing about the malls. It's weird to see my fashions from when I was in high school. I graduated high school in 1989, and the kids are wearing, that's all being, recreated again.
I'm with you, Patty.
Right? There you go. It's bizarre. I see girls in baby doll dresses and jean jackets and Doc Martens. I'm like, how did you get into are we time traveling? What happened?
Steal my closet, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the ways in which you're tailoring this to both, connect us back to the malls and attract a younger generation of folks to the malls.
Sure. So we have always been kind of a family mall. You will see people dressed up and as a group on Sundays. You can tell that they've come from church. They come and they eat. We have an El Milagro in our food court, which always has a line. There are some really good food options and eateries there. We have an Olive Garden and a Miller's at the entrance to the mall. But then they'll spend time together as a family. And part of what the renovation did was give us an opportunity to update the furnishings. So now all the furnishings are plug and play. So if you want to attract a 17-year-old, I think anywhere they can plug a device in and keep their head down seems to be part of the goal. Yeah. I'm probably not supposed to say that, so okay. Apologies.
Oh, please, Jeanne. Every space I walk into, I'm like, where are the plugs? Where's the outlets?
Yep. Well, right now they're on the arm of the chair, so it's nice. Really convenient and easy to find. We have kind of library tables, so they're higher, like a bar height, that you can sit at, and the plugs are right along the edge, so everybody can sit and plug their devices, and hopefully to put them down for 5 minutes and have a Cinnabon and talk to each other and look each other in the eye. But that also gives you a chance to kind of rest up and rejuvenate and shop some more. So we have a lot of sneaker stores in the mall. There are actually 4 Foot Lockers in here, including a kids' Foot Locker, which is a new concept called House of Play. So it's got stuff for kids to do, to jump and to try height things and to long jump and really keep them kind of active, which entertains them a little bit while you're shopping. As a parent, sometimes it's hard to keep them entertained. We have a lot of jewelry. We have women's wear. We have a lot of urban wear, but a lot of our stores are family-owned, so we have a lot of entrepreneurs and small shops. We say small shops, like we have a lot of national brands like H&M and Express and that Foot Locker, but we also have a lot of family-owned companies that really talk to you, and so they tailor their products to the community that is shopping them, which is nice.
It sounds like a lot of businesses are interested in coming back to brick and mortar. Are you finding that people want to have those experiences again?
I think we all tried online, and it was so great during COVID, and we would lay in bed at 11 o'clock at night and start ordering things. I don't know. I don't think I was alone doing that. But it's a different experience than shopping in person, and so it was good to experience that. But I think the malls who get it are tailoring their mix of product to not just shopping, but also great eateries and entertainment. So we have a Round One. We just opened a Kids Empire, so it's an indoor kids play area. We have Fun Inflatables, which is, again, one of those locally owned kind of bounce houses. And the owner is very in tune with people who are coming in. And parents will bring their kids in for half an hour to jump and be able to go out and do some more shopping again. But that mix kind of keeps you in the center and gives you more reasons to visit. So if you can go to classic cinemas and catch a movie and grab a bite to eat, and shop before you get there, you've got kind of everything in one fell swoop, and it makes it easier to make the best of your visit.
I love it. I know a lot of folks are looking for things to be able to do with their kids, whether it is to see, family movies or take them shopping. It is hard because the attention span of kids is getting shorter because of so much social media and digital access. So tell us about the environment and what some of the renovations entailed and where we are with the whole construction.
So we have completed the construction at this point. We're doing some touch-ups, but you will see all new floors, so it's really bright, and that helps a lot. We replaced the ceiling, so what was previously an egg crate ceiling has been replaced with a wood slat. It's called a 9-wood, but you look up, and it's just kind of this cool wooden ceiling that goes in between the solid white, and I didn't think a ceiling would make so much difference, but it really makes the stores look more interesting to go into. All the furnishings throughout the mall are brand new, so it does have that plug-and-play capability. It's really comfortable seating, so we keep hearing from people. They actually come up to us. If you're walking around in a suit, I guess you look like you might be part of mall management, but they'll say, hey, this is great. We love this. So it helps them spend more time, which as an owner we like. That's more dwell time, right? But mostly it's giving back to that community. So if they're coming and supporting our stores and shopping with the people that are here, that are making their living this way, we want to give back to them and make it worth their while. So we've rolled out a ton of family events and initiatives for the holidays too that help people come back and help them save money and make the best of their dollar that way.
And what's your setup for Santa's visit?
So Santa visits, we have a local studio that brings in Santa. He has 3 sets, so you can do family photos in just a really lovely set that looks 3-dimensional when they do their magic. Or you can visit Santa or take photos with Santa. We see a lot of people waiting to the last minute, so I would always encourage people to start early. But Santa is here all hours that the mall is open, and he's been here since November 11th. So a lot of kids have gotten to come and visit Santa that way. That's great. Tomorrow we have a family event. We are doing crafts with Mrs. Claus. So from 10 to 12, families come in. We offer it for kids under 12, but if you're 13 or 14 and you want to make some ornaments, you want to have a DJ party and you want to get your face painted, we will welcome you with your parents. We get a lot of kids coming for that, and we've got some raffle prizes for that. So it's a fun way to see Mrs. Claus, who might be sometimes less scary than Santa himself, but also she's leading the crafts and leading some story time, which is kind of great. We have digital coupons for people that are live now on our website, so an extra saving. You can save $3 at Cinnabon, little coupons, but you can clip it on your phone and use it right away. So there's some really good deals that way, and those go through next week. And then we start keeping them all open later so people can shop until 9 o'clock. If you work late or if your schedule doesn't accommodate, if your kids are doing sports and you're trying to get everything done, we're here a little bit later for you through December 24th. We're not open late 24th, but through the 23rd, we're open late to help you get some of that shopping done.
Well, tell us, how late are you open on Christmas Eve? Because I remember being at the mall with my dad, sometimes racing through the place. Yes, I have memories of that, yep.
We are open until 5 on Christmas Eve. We do gift wrapping, so we find that our lines for gift wrapping go really, really long. All the proceeds from gift wrapping benefit an organization called Gifts from Liam. This is an organization started by a mom who had a stillbirth and realized there was no support for families when they go through this, and she has done this amazing job between diaper drives, but mostly education and resources to help parents really understand what's going on with that. So we love that, and so all the gift wrapping goes to support this organization, and they actually come and help us wrap gifts the last week because it gets so busy. But our customer service team does that, and they're really, really good at it. They are set up right next to a new 60-foot mural, so we have an empty wall that kind of begged for some great art. Emmy Starr Brown is a Chicago artist who came in with her team and put together an abstract, really colorful, happy painting that we call Gather, and we've seen people taking selfies there. They take selfies throughout the mall. We have I have to say. We have a great Christmas tree. We see people taking selfies there all the time. We have an ornament that you can stand in the middle of that kind of gives you an opportunity to take selfies. So if you don't want to do Santa in the professional manner, you can do those kinds of things. And we have a Candy Cane Lane. We have a specialty pop-up shop with some other local entrepreneurs and local makers this year. So they can do custom ornaments. They have all kinds of hats. They have vintage video games, kind of different things that you can find in a pop-up market as well. So you've got your normal stores and then more of these entrepreneurs. And I think holiday is a great time to really do something that's special and personalized. And if you're looking for ideas, you're always trying to figure out what can you do that's unique and different that way. So personalization is a great way to do it.
Sounds great. And before we let you go, what's the best place for folks to find out more about the mall, about Riverside Mall, and about the events going on, and of course, the stores that are there, and the entertainment and food?
Yes, and check out the stores. I know I'm waiting to hear the next steps. But the website is the best place to find us. It's northriversideparkmall.com. And you can find us on Instagram at NRP Mall. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us almost anywhere. We're trying to keep up with social these days, too, for the kids.
Excellent. I want to thank you so much again, Jeanne Heller, Marketing Director for the Riverside Mall. And get your shopping done, folks. Don't wait till the last minute. And we really are grateful for your time and sharing the story of Riverside Mall with us. Have a great weekend.
Thanks so much, Patty.
Of course. Thank you. You too. Let's take a break here. I'll take your calls when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. You can also text us at 773-763-9278, the same number you call. And coming up at 6, we'll be joined by cartoonist for the Chicago Tribune, Scott Stantis. I'm excited. I haven't talked to him in a while.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for driving it home with us. I want to get to our calls for some folks who've been on hold for a while. I appreciate your patience. Dave from Hoffman Estates is on the line. Hey, Dave, what's on your mind?
Hey, happy Festivus there, Patty.
Happy Festivus, man.
Talking about with Trump and that the tariffs, like where he, it's going to cost more, with the undocumented guys' work, throwing them out and that. And then from like what I've read, we've, as of 2021, we've imported 60% of our fresh fruit and 38% of our fresh vegetables, excluding, potatoes and mushrooms and that. And it's no old trick. He did that, if you recall, in his last tour as a president, when he had put on tariffs and stuff like on China and that for the soybeans and stuff.
Yep.
And the Chinese refused to pay, but people in Wisconsin and the farmers had really a bad time. They had been wrestling with a combination of problems back then over the last few years, including industry transition to factory farm models, falling milk prices, and Donald Trump's trade war back then. And then they were getting they had suicides amongst the farmers, and I believe back then they had lost about 700 farms, and that because the income in that had declined like 22%, between 2012 and 2017, when the milk prices dropped from $26.60 per 100 pounds in September 2014 to an average of what the heck was it, $16.76 from January 2018 through June 2019, with Trump.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe these farmers and stuff that voted for him up in Wisconsin and stuff like that, they have a little amnesia.
Well, I was thinking that while you were talking, there doesn't seem to be any absorption of information, no retention of experience and what's happened in the past. It's all, so I get, that's what I'm saying. If it's all that people respond to, folks have to be reminded or told over and over and over again why this is happening. It's because of the policies of the far-right extremists, because of conservatives, because of Republicans, over and over and over again. And I don't know.
And I think And I think they also had to get, like, from the government or something, or Governor Evers, they had to get like $200,000 to help those farmers with mental health and depression back then.
Yeah, I believe it.
And anyway, listen, I know there's others been waiting, so.
Well, thank you, Dave. Are you doing anything to take care of yourself this weekend?
Nah, just maybe watch a little TV, you know.
Right.
And if it's still cold out, why bother?
Well, maybe do a little meditation. Like I'll do the music again. Here, do a little meditation.
Maybe put on some Allman Brothers band or something like that.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, yes. Put some music on. Dance a little. Sing a little. Like Joan says.
Go
do
get
something.
some gummies.
Oh, hey, nothing wrong with that either. Feed your soul and your mind. Okay, my friend. Take care.
Have a good one, Patty. Good night.
Thank you, Dave. You too. Judy in Niles, who has gifted my son with a beautiful lamp that no one at the station will let me take. By the way, they love it in the conference room. Not no one.
Oh, you're kidding.
She just looked at me and she's like, "We didn't say you couldn't take it, but I will eventually take it." Well, look, Griffin has still not settled into his apartment, so I can't bring anything new in. He has like all these chairs that I got from Buy Nothing. He mostly has chairs. He doesn't have a dresser. He doesn't have a desk. He has a kitchen table. So I'm working on it, Judy. I'm working on it. But it's a beautiful lamp, and thank you for it.
Well, that's sort of what I would tell you. You said sometime last week that eventually in your life you would like to have a store where you took in chairs and tables and
dressers and desks
and furniture. Yep. Well, if I still have my legs under me and I'm upright and breathing, let me know. This is in my wheelhouse. I have a full set of chairs in the kitchen that I bought at either fairs for $10 or picked off the street or took out of my... I stripped them. I stained them. I have a youth chair. They don't use those anymore. But my sisters and I all sat on it, and it had been a wreck, and I managed to haul it back from extinction. So I'm fairly good at these things.
Excellent.
And my husband knows how to wire lamps, because I've had him do it to several. We take them back and forth. I'll go up to the lake and say, "Wow, this lamp really would be better at home." But the cord is really old, and got the right plug and all that. And he's redone several of those. So we're really good at this.
Excellent.
So you better hurry up before we get into our 90s and we can't do it.
All right, as soon as I have the space for it tonight, my first project is the desk I bought for Griffin at Habitat for Humanity. The warm days got away from me, but because he doesn't have room for the desk anyway, it sort of dampened my sense of urgency to get it done. But I've begun. So it's Lane furniture. The Lane makes like those cedar chests and desks and things like that, and I got it for a nice price. And I just need to refinish, I just need to recondition the top and touch up some of the drawer handles that are made out of wood.
I'm good at that too. I have two cedar chests. They're really handy in the cottage. They would be in a house too.
Oh, so my mom has one. My mom has a Lane cedar chest with her blankets and and important documents, which I think is funny. Her blankets are in with her tag.
Yeah, I know. Up there, one year I went up there and there were kind of a lot of moths in there, and I'm thinking,
oh no,
that's very strange.
What's the point of it?
I'm killing moths. And I had put a chenille bedspread in one of the dressers. And I opened the drawer, and it was nothing but fluff. It was hilarious. The funniest thing I ever saw, they had just eaten a huge, huge hole right through the middle of that thing, and it was all fluff.
No.
And I thought, well, and trying to get it out of there, because I burned it. Because I don't know how many eggs might have been left inside. And, I had to very carefully patch it together and carry it through the kitchen and out to the burn pit.
Oh, dear. Oh, man. Well.
But the cedar chest, nothing gets in there.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that, and I will keep that in mind to get moving on my drive to do that.
We are really good at this.
All right.
And, other people have professionals, but
awesome.
We're good at this. So that our whole house is decorated with things that we found in the basement, or our parents had it, or I put new lampshades on things. I take them I'd take stuff to the, if we can't put anything else in a nice old frame, I put a piece of mirror in it.
Oh, nice. That's great. Smart. Okay. Well, thank you for keeping stuff out of the landfill, Judy. Have a great weekend, okay?
You too.
Thank you. And Jim hanging in there for most of the show. Dave actually got in before you this time. Jim, how are you doing, my friend?
Good for Dave. Anyway, I was going to say, Patty, I'm trying to map out how the first 4 years were excruciating with Trump. And Freddy Krueger is back in the saddle again. And what I'd like to know, forget the money he stole or the people he molested or raped or whatever abnormal behavior he's had. That's why the young men apparently like him so much, because they think they have license to jump into dressing rooms with women or whoever. They must enjoy that. But anyway, my point is, what's the death count going to be? The Supreme Court is looking at the case now for genital dysphoria for children, and they want to give them blockers because they don't believe in medicine. They don't believe in medicine for women. They don't believe in medicine for kids that have a gender dysphoria. They think that their religion should surpass everybody's. I've never heard of a judge. Have you ever heard of a judge coming to court with his religious convictions, and he's putting people in jail over his religion? I mean, that's insane. That's insane. But 4 years of this. And think about how horrible it was. Think of the 400,000 lives were lost because of COVID and how insane he was. He knew 2 months beforehand. He didn't even let on to the American public.
Yeah, but Bob Woodward had
Evan Woodward. He told Woodward. The reason he did it, you know what the reason he did it was obvious, because he wanted to be elected again. But anyway, Patty, I know you're coming up against. But ask your cartoonist friend. He said ask him what a conservative is in his mind.
Sure.
And how racist is this Republican Party? Remember, Reagan used the welfare queen in all of his ads, right, claiming that the welfare queen. And then we had Bush, who used the Willie Horton ad. And we had Trump, who took out a full-paid ads against the four people in the Central Park thing.
Central Park 5,
Yeah, that was absolutely insane. And him chasing around the prison certificate of Obama. I mean, if he isn't a dead racist, I don't know, I'll eat my hat. But ask Scott, how racist is this party, and what is a conservative? Because I can't get the right definition. Listen, anyway, Patty, you have a great weekend, and thanks, Patty.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Jim. Have a good weekend. And before we go to the break, I just want to make sure I get to some of these texts. We were talking earlier about the ultra-rich and their disdain, and for those of us who are not uber wealthy and white, there's this guy who used to work for Trump, and he said that he made a video saying that he likes to drive around and give homeless people $20 counterfeit bills, and it serves two purposes. It makes them momentarily happy, and then they get arrested, and it cleans the streets off. And a listener said, shouldn't the moron passing counterfeit money be arrested for that? Absolutely. But here's the thing. Rich people have the means to get out of stuff like that and have a lawyer who says, it's just freedom of speech. He just says he does it. You can't prove that he actually has done it and that kind of stuff. So, another listener from the 708s, Patty, do you think that France should be worried that Macron asked the guy asked 45 to attend the reopening ceremony at Notre Dame Cathedral because it might cause lightning to strike, resulting in another fire? He should be. Yes, I do think he should be. And Mark says, Patty, I've been out for a week and I forgot how riled up you get. I love your comments, and love you guys all. Thank you for your words of kindness. Let's take a break here. We'll check in with my good friend Scott Stantis when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. I want to say hello to our friends listening in Minneapolis, St. Paul on KTNF Radio, KTNF AM 950, and, of course, the progressive voice of Minnesota. We talked to Matt McNeil last night. It was great to have a conversation with him. I miss my friend. And I also want to say hello to our friends listening on WCPT 820 AM here, terrestrial on your TuneIn apps. You can watch us on the live stream on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget, all of our shows are podcasts available wherever you download download your podcast, or you can go to heartlandsignal.com. I also want to let folks know, before I bring our guest on, I need to I want to share some information. I want to invite you to a holiday celebration in my neighborhood, because tomorrow I will be volunteering with the Jefferson Park Chamber of Commerce that I'm a member of. I haven't been able to go to the meetings. They have them on weekdays at 8:30, and it's a little bit tough for me to get there. These folks in my neighborhood apparently have different schedules. But tomorrow is the holiday trolley, and there's some great stores all over the Northwest side. It's going to be part of like Jefferson Park. There's going to be a free trolley for everyone starting at 3 o'clock, and it will run until 6 o'clock. I'll be either on the trolley or in the alley. We have a little pedestrian space that'll be decorated tomorrow by Weston's, right a couple doors down from the Gale Street Inn. And again, some of the stops will include places like the Gale Street Inn. I'm trying to find all the information for you. It's Small Business Saturday. It's not the only day. Small Business Saturday is not the only day that you want to get out there and support local businesses. So the Northwest Side Holiday Trolley is back this year with all your local favorites. The free rides do start at 3 p.m. and Rep Chai is offering specials all day. Folks who are watching the live stream, you know that I walk in almost every day with my Rep Chai purse. It's got the Chicago flag on it. Very festive and proud to be a Chicagoan. They have a lot of Chicago artists that they feature there, and there's a lot of items that are recycled items, like repurposed items, and I love all of their purses. They've also got like housewares and T-shirts and hats and everything from magnets to coasters and glassware. So if you spend $100 at Rep Chai, you'll get a $20 gift card, which will be redeemable starting on the 8th. So that'll be the next day. Also, Rep Chai is partnering with a local CPS student in hosting a pet supply drive with donations to benefit One Tail at a Time. And you can go to their wish list at onetail.org. It's just onetail.org, and go to their wish list and help them out there. And you can also stop by for Precious or Pookie and get a $10 gift card with any gifts for them. So there you go. So that's everything, Scott. I think I've covered all my promotion of I'll be on the trolley. I was going to wear, hi, Scott Stantis, cartoonist for the Chicago Tribune. And you can find him on Go Comics and various podcasts that we'll talk about. But yes, hi, Scott. I'm a dork for my neighborhood. You know that. Oh, hold on a second. Why can I not hear you? No, let's not do this today. Adobe. I'm Adobe, right? Lady B. Let's see. I can't hear you on my... I got that. Why can't... Well, let me see. Is it on this? Lady B, let me know if I'm doing anything wrong on the board. Oh, Scott. No. Let's see. I don't see that. I got to push all my buttons. You're up. Let's see. Hopefully, we'll get some help in a moment. Hey, Lady B. I got him in Adobe, right?
Adobe. Yeah.
Right, that's up. Are there any other buttons that I need to?
No, you're right.
Scott, it's you. We've decided it's you.
Oh, yeah, it is him. There's no levels coming from.
There's no levels? Do I need to change anything on the the application?
Let's just tell him to disconnect and
go away and come back.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Hi, Scott.
Hey.
Yes.
Okay. I had to change the setting.
I love when it's not my fault. Not that I love that it's your fault. I just love that it's not my fault. Okay?
No, I totally get that. So you're going to be in an alley this weekend?
I'm going to be in an alley just handing out candy to kids. Is that...
Wow.
I know. That does sound weird. That does sound very, very weird. Yeah, there's a bunch of great businesses all over the Northwest side. I gave Scott a little bit of a tour when he was in town last year, but there's places like Ayers Brewery is on the trolley path. There's going to be Tata's Tacos, who we love, of course. Junebug Cafe, Distinct Bath and Body, just to name a few. Tone Deaf Records. They've got a lot of vinyl, new and old. So that's the Northwest Side Holiday Trolley. Go find them on Facebook, Northwest Side. Just search for Northwest Side Holiday Trolley. How are you planning to do your holiday shopping this year, Scott? Because I'm doing a lot of thrift storing for folks.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a brilliant idea, because for a myriad of reasons, not least of which is, you're buying stuff that's already been made. You're not hurting the environment. So that's really smart. So what am I doing? Boy, that's a great question, Patty. And I'm really super glad you asked.
Do you do a lot of the holiday shopping, or do you leave it at the Genie?
I hate it. I
know. I get it.
Holiday shopping. I hate there are difficult childhood memories involved with the
shopping.
Well, just the holiday in general. I get grumpy around Christmas. I know it's horrible.
I don't want to do emotional ping pong with you, but yes, I've had traumatizing experiences. Okay. I will tell you. Want me to tell you my worst holiday memory? But here's the thing. No, but here's the thing. It's terrible to everyone. I didn't understand what was happening. I totally forget about this story all the time. My mother, I was about 5 or 6 years old. Oh my God. She's going to be so mad that I told this story. So I was playing in the toy department at Marshall Fields, the original Marshall Fields on State Street. And this guy was going, "Hey, little girl." He was in a trench coat and gym shoes. And underneath that coat, that's all he was wearing. But I didn't understand what was happening. Yeah, I got flashed by this guy. And really and it was that's one of my weirdest shopping holiday memories. But again, I didn't know what was happening. I just look back and I go, yeah. People are terrible.
Oh God, no! That's awful. No,
it is awful. I told you it was awful. I told you it was terrible to everybody. But 5-year-old me was like, "Where's your underwear? Where are your panties?" Because that's how I talked to him. Where are your panties? I wish I had said that to him. How come you're not wearing any panties?
Did he ever get arrested or anything? Or
you know what? I don't know that they found him because I was by myself and I didn't know that there was something wrong. And then I told my mom what happened, and then that was how I think she was like maybe on the other aisle, like I'd wandered off or something. And I don't know if she saw him or not. She's there's a lot of stories like that from my childhood. Unfortunately, how much do I want to drag
Patty
up?
Just wandered off.
He just wandered off. Yeah, no, don't let your kids wander off.
Oh, man.
That's why I always laugh when people would make fun of me for kind of being like when I was in the playground with the boys, especially with Declan. Obviously, I have to stay close because he has intellectual and physical challenges. But even with Griffin, people would tease me about, what do you think's going to happen? And I'm like, I'm sorry, but when I was 7 years old, I learned that there really was a boogeyman on the Northwest Side who buried people in his crawl space. So, people don't tussle with me verbally. You're not going to enjoy it. Yeah.
Wow.
I do that sometimes. Because it's weird because I never talked about it. But see, the thing is for me, like the holiday season, that's when we found out about my brother. So I do kind of have that. It's sort of mixed in there, that sort of, and memories of my father. My dad, I remember his last Christmas, he was saying this will probably be my last Christmas because he had stage 4 lung cancer. So yeah, I get it. I get it, Scott.
Man, you win.
I'm not trying, but no, I guess that sounds like I'm trying to win. I just, I'm very good at compartmentalizing. I guess I think we can all agree, and putting things, where they until I can't close the door.
You have to.
Yeah, I have to. Absolutely.
I mean, there's really no other choice. And in the holidays, because we get so much pressure, especially, I'm older than you by a lot, and
not
the Christmas
lot.
Then,
a lot is like 30 years. 30 years is a lot. You're not a lot older than me.
15 years, right?
It's not a lot.
It's enough. How's that?
We'll come back to that in a minute.
But growing up, it was always supposed to be this happy, and an impossible level of happiness to achieve. And so you had this pressure on you. Mm-hmm. And when you not only fell short, but were, actively shoved well below it, so I had a hard time. But now, see, I'm married to a person who, she adores Christmas. Oh my God. She does Christmas really well.
Look, Scott, I saw your Dia de los Muertos altar a couple years ago. She did it right and she did it well. So I believe that her Christmas must be extraordinary. Does she do where she boils?
Loves it.
Yeah, does she boil like spices to make the whole house smell like Christmas? With like cinnamon.
No, she's actually making stuff with spices to make. That's actually what.
She actually does the baking. Patty. She doesn't do the. Yeah. I just boil water. I'm like, I ain't got time
That's what those spices
muffins.
are for, Patty.
You want a pie? How about I boil some water with some cinnamon sticks and cloves? Okay, throw an orange in there. All right, I'll give you the baseline.
Tomato.
I'll give you the baseline. I'll give you a whiff of Christmas. Does that sound good? I'll make you hungry for the foods that you're smelling, but you ain't gonna get the foods. I guess that's that.
Yeah, she actually does that, and it's wonderful. And so for years, I tried to keep up, and I can't win Christmas.
In what ways can you keep? Like gift purchasing or decorating, or how do you want to keep up?
Here's a great story. Really, seriously, my family struggled with Christmas, and so our first married Christmas. So we go to her family's house for Christmas Eve. That's when they did their Christmas Eve, and it's they have a fire going, and they sit around the fire and the trees next to the fire, Patty, and it's like. And this is Southern California, so it's like this Dixonian kind of Christmas in Southern California, dude. And, so we have this wonderful time, and then we go back to our place, and we have a few presents for each other, and we open it up, and I go, that's great. We go to bed. Wake up the next morning. I get up earlier than she does. I go, it's this little 1-bedroom apartment. I go into the living room, and there's not just my stocking stuffed with presents, but presents all around it. And I have bought nothing because I was unawares. So Janine takes the story up from here. It's much funnier because the next thing she hears is keys grabbed, shoes put on, door slams. Yep. And I, in the car, trying to go, Patty, do you know what's open on early on Christmas morning?
Walgreens. No, the 7-Eleven maybe, the gas station.
Yeah, styrofoam.
Did you just use a word? I just used a word. I had to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
that's
the
all right.
crappiest.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, I apologize. Oh, my gosh.
We're hanging up on Scott. Well, because you do podcasts now, Mr. Podcaster. You can say those words.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was the crappiest pair of sweats you could possibly get, and a pack of Aspergum. I'm not kidding.
Oh my God. Who? Aspergum. And it's aspirin, right? What is...
Yes, it's aspirin and gum.
What is the point of Aspergum, by the way? Like you're supposed to chew away your pain? It makes no sense because it hurts to chew gum.
Yeah, I guess it's...
Are you supposed to then swallow it, too?
You don't have to swallow the pill.
Oh,
yeah.
No, that's not good.
So
the aspirin gets in your saliva?
Aspergum, yeah. I'm not going to... I'm so sorry about the cursing. I
got it. So Aspergum, and what was the other thing? Cigarettes? Pall Malls? What did you get?
No. It was literally just the pair of crappy sweats made out of styrofoam, some kind of styrofoam-like material, and Aspergum, because it's all I could find. And she was just looking, and the look on her face was just like...
Oh, my God.
What? I mean, nothing would have been better
yes.
than this.
We could have, or like scratch-off tickets. Lottery tickets, even.
Ooh, yeah.
See, now that's what people do.
Have the lottery back then. That's how long ago this was.
Oh, wow. People do that. Like, we do this white elephant, and I think I've told this story about doing the white elephant with Steve's sisters. He has 5 sisters, and then there's a ton of nieces and nephews, and then the in-laws, and so invariably it'll be like 23 people that put in a present. If you're not familiar with this, folks, you bring in a present. Some people do it has to be something that's been used. So like it's truly like it could either be fantastic or just a piece of crap, right? And but you have to spend at least $30. You have to have the receipt in case someone. It's like all these rules, and of course, Trisha makes all the rules. My sister-in-law, who when she first met me, goes, "I understand that you're Mexican. Do you feel like a Mexican?" That one. At any rate,
what does that mean?
Well,
how do you feel?
I know. Do you feel
like a Mexican?
I burp tacos. You know how it goes. So
do you take a nap against Soros with a serape?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a lot of stuff. And so a side note on Trisha, one year I had a migraine. We were there with the kids, and it was really crowded, and I wasn't feeling great. So I was like, I have to go. And we had bought 2 gifts for the white elephant, and my mother said, I'll stay. And my mother's from Mexico, for folks who don't know. And so she stayed. And then the next day she said to me, "Patricia, I never want to go to that Christmas party with them again." And I said, "What happened?" So for folks who don't know, with the white elephant, you can either, the first person obviously opens a present. You pick a number between 1 and whatever number of people you have. And the first person opens a present. Now the next person and everybody after that has a choice. They can either open a new present, which invariably is like a rooster cookie jar or an astronaut pen that writes upside down, and yay. But it gets a little competitive, and people steal from each other. And so my mother said that my sister-in-law Trisha, when my mother was going to open so you can steal from each other when it's your turn, or open a new one. So when mother was going to open a new present, had her hand over the shiny new packaging, the wrapped present, and Trisha said, "Dora, why don't you steal? You're Mexican." So that And so that happened. And what a power thing to do. My mother was by herself, right? I wasn't there. She didn't have any allies in the room. Like, I even called one of my nieces. I called my niece Carrie, and I said, is that how that went down? And you know what she said to me? "Yeah, I was really hoping she wouldn't tell you about that." I mean, like, and I was, rather than why didn't you defend my mother or slap down, like, and I don't mean like hit my sister-in-law. So that's one of the reasons I started doing CrossFit 10 years ago. I have to go back to it because I don't want to get violent now, but I figure when we're like 80, I want to be a little spry and knock her dentures out. That's my goal. Right now. I want to be, when I get to be crazy Aunt Patty. I think that's perfect.
Something to live for. Yeah.
So one year I did, and I just found one of the scratch-offs. One year someone gave me an envelope of just scratch-off lottery tickets for the White Elephant. And I figured, well, you got a shot. You got a shot at it. So I kept it. Yeah, well, whatever.
Oh, that's actually pretty. No, we have the same game. And it's so weird. The psychology of the game would be a fascinating study because somebody will say, it's the one item when someone say, wow, one year, Patty, I'm not kidding, one of our friends was playing and it was like, ooh, a bucket. I need a bucket. And that bucket, it became blood sport. I mean, it was just like
bucket.
You throw a bucket.
Oh my god!
Literally a bucket. Jesus. And we throw dice. I'm not sure if you have.
No,
we call it the dice game.
No, they have numbers. Yeah. Oh my god! A bucket. What kind of bucket? Like, is it like a painter's bucket? Like a metal
it's
bucket?
Just like a plastic.
There's
bucket.
A hole in a bucket. Do they have a hole in their bucket? And dear Liza?
No.
No. What can't? All right. That's insane.
Just a bucket.
One year I brought, when I was at the former radio station where I used to work at WGN, there was a wonderful business that gave me just these really high-end soaps and lotions and like shaving cream and all this stuff, like some for men, some for women. And I thought, I'm never going to go through all of this stuff. I didn't have a receipt, and I was like, you know what? We're a little stretched for cash. I'm not going to, but I'm not going to be able to use all this. This might make the derision that the person who, because you don't admit to what you brought if everyone's going to make fun of it. And it was one of the nephews got it, and he was very disappointed. It's like, you get what you get, you don't get upset, you turd. I'm sorry, Steve. I know Michael's a very nice young man, but there was some.
Well, one year, I still have it here, and if your listeners, I can share it with your listeners. Real quick, here I'm showing Patty on Zoom. You can see.
Oh, does it make sounds? It's
a screaming goat. Ready?
Ready. So that's fantastic.
So during the election, it's a little goat about 4 inches tall, and during the election, every time you'd hear, the orange thing that shall not be named, I would go.
I need that for a sound effect on my show, folks. I'm going to need that because I screamed earlier. Yeah.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah, that's appropriate too. We need those sound effects for the show. Because right now I don't have. I keep meaning to ask for some, and I keep forgetting to put them into the board. But it's a lot of screaming. There's a great video on social media, by the way, of some company put that sound effect in their paper towel dispenser because it's like one of those automatic ones. So that when you get a paper towel, it just screams. Because they said that the mechanism in there sounds like the screaming goat. So it's pretty funny. I like that one. Yeah, it's like squeaky and it sounds like that. Yeah, good stuff. By the way, we were talking to our listeners earlier, and we started this conversation about some. There's this pressure for this nostalgic idea of what Christmas is supposed to be, and one of the things I talked about in the last hour, and this kind of brings us back to our perception of economics, I guess, and the who's making more and whose fault it is. And why people can't, buy a summer home and buy a boat. And our parents, people talk about their parents, being able to put a pension. You only need a single, income household, all these things. And I was talking about and I know that you are a Reagan Republican, and I don't want to get in an argument with you about his policies having a lot to do with where we are right now and disrupting unions and things like that. However, we can go into like Adam Smith's beliefs on what the ultra rich should pay in order, the more you benefit from, and can gain, and that luxury items should be taxed and not rent, and so we don't have a tax on those kinds of things, and that your tax should reflect your income, not necessarily a progressive tax, but that reflects your income. And so, at any rate, to that, because you are a Reagan Republican and are not a Trump Republican or MAGA, I guess either one. So, our good friend Jim asked in the last half hour, there's going to be a two-parter. So, I guess we'll start with this point, which is what now, and always. What would you define a conservative as?
Oh, that's a great question. I can't answer that anymore, honestly. Patty and I are on this platform called Center Clip, and it's 30 seconds to 5.
I know some of those guys. I can't. They're turds. Anyway, that's my word of the day.
I know. I don't listen. Well, don't listen to them. That's the advantage.
I don't. And I don't.
Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But they should have your voice. You have an important voice. Anyway, so I do. So we just partnered with All Sides, and All Sides rates news stories and commentary and so on where it lands on the spectrum. Patty, you just shocked the crap out of me. I'm apparently now a centrist. I am the token centrist on Center Clip. Yeah, because my politics have gone, everything has shifted and so out of whack. So what's a conservative, Jim?
Conservative
my
now
definition,
is different, Well, your definition, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, well, no, conservative now means you have allegiance to Trump, which is absurd.
Oh, okay, that's a definition now. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's the definition. It used to be lower taxes, strong defense, smaller government. I took a more laissez-faire approach to economics and to social issues too. I have a button. I should next time I see you, I may gift it to you, Patty.
Oh.
I got it from the 1988 Republican convention, George H.W. Bush and Dan Quayle, and it says "Republicans for Choice."
Oh, wow.
That was a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the party has changed, and so Jim, I don't know what I mean. Patty and I have had this discussion a lot over the last few years, and I don't know what I am. And I mean, I've called Patty, really upset because my identity,
crisis of faith. Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up. I'm 13 years old, and I worked on Richard Nixon's reelection campaign, and I mean that's. How deep these roots go and this thinking goes. I was on the Speaker's Bureau for Gerald Ford's campaign in '76, which again is hilarious because I wasn't old enough to vote, but still participated on debates on the University of Wisconsin campus and did appearances at different groups. I mean, I've worked on this. I worked on Reagan's campaigns. I wish, no serious level. I was a gopher. I drove stuff around. In '80 and '84, I worked on other local campaigns. All of this is to say, I was a true believer, and there's a lot of people out there like me who are aghast at what's happened to the Republican Party and what's taken over. And it has shifted from allegiance to and adherence to a set list of values to allegiance to a single individual. I mean, it's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. Well, it is to a single individual, but it's also allegiance to rage, that it's somebody else's fault that something has happened, that you perceive things as bad, to you, whether it's the price of eggs, the price of gas, that there's gender neutral bathrooms and you're disgusted by that. I mean, and I was saying earlier, someone said that and we've talked about whether or not Democrats and progressives or liberals should have invested sooner, and it's not too late. You and I talked about this afternoon. It's not too late for Democrats to jump in and really, get a hold of the media. And I was saying that someone mentioned that they didn't think that Democrats were good at the rage machine. And here's the thing. For me, it is the ultra far right extremists and the uber rich that we should be directing our rage, because they are choking the middle class and causing more poverty in this country than we have ever had before. The disparity between the uber wealthy and you can tilt your head if you want, but what is it like? It's like 10%, but basically, there's 40% of the country is fighting over 6% of the wealth that's left out over, right? Like we are all just getting a smaller piece of the pie, and that's why there's nothing for us to look forward to.
Well, I'm going to jump in on it and say I agree. Although poverty is at the lowest it's been in the history of our species, which I think is something to celebrate. Absolutely. But by turns, the middle class has stopped. It has just come to a screeching halt. How did that happen? Well, anti-union sentiment, anti-union laws, anti-union propaganda. And, I mean, you look at when unions were on the ascent from the late 1920s, early 30s until the 1970s, the middle class was exploding. I mean, one-income families could afford a house, a modest house, a modest automobile, and save up money to potentially send their children to college. You can't do that anymore. And there is something very wrong when that arithmetic, when that balance has fallen out of kilter. I don't hate unions. I saw the abuses that they can have, but they can also and obviously are responsible for this increase in the middle class in America, and for what has to be looked upon as a golden age, a golden economic age for this country. And so if people want to voluntarily join together, because it's really the only power they have, then I'm all for it. Again, I'll have my Trump card revoked. I won't have, I'm afraid I'll have to have my MAGA hat. It's like there was a show probably before you were born. Do you remember that called, oh my God, Branded?
No.
Oh, it was, what do you do when you're branded and you know you're a man? And it was Chuck Connors, not Chuck Connors. Who's the guy who's in The Rifleman, the actor?
Oh, that one I don't know. I'm sorry. Not that I
okay, anyway,
that just wasn't my jam. Sorry.
Oh, so, okay. So he was in the show, and he was wrongly accused, and so the opening's credits are him. He's having his epaulets ripped off, and his sword is broken in half over the knee of his commanding officer. That's what's going to happen to me, because I think unions are just fine. I think unions are great.
Excellent. Yeah, I do too. I look. Yeah, it's something that I think has helped a lot of people in the last couple of years, especially. My experience with my unions has provided some protections, and like you said, there's some things that I wish were done better. But without them, we'll talk a little bit more about this. We're hanging out with Scott Stantis, the cartoonist for the Chicago Tribune. He has one out this weekend. We'll talk about that piece as well. There's an editorial coming out, and he does.
Please, no.
Okay, we're not going to talk about that. We'll talk about some more.
We can, of course, we can.
Before I forget, we were talking about the white elephant, and a listener from the 708 says, we share the same game, the white elephant, but ours is a total joke. We try to get the worst, corniest gif we can find. Well, that's fun. I mean, then you don't, you know what I mean?
That's what we do.
Yeah, there you go. There's no Aspergum, okay? That sounds in my head a lot. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950, the voice of the progressive voice of Minnesota. My husband thinks it should be known as the Northern Front, KTNF. So I just thought I'll throw that out there for them. They haven't picked up on it, Steve. Sorry. More after this.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
There's no better way to defend democracy in front of your fascist Republican friends than with a cold progressive beer from the Minocqua Brewing Company of Wisconsin. So head on over to Beer on the Wall in Schaumburg, Doty Liquors in Elmhurst, Captain Jack's Beverages in Worth, or the Wilmette Market to pick up a 4-pack or couple 2-3 of MAGA Tears IPA today. Don't forget to drink and vote responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. And joining me on the line is Scott Stantis, the political cartoonist for the Chicago Tribune, and also featured on Center Clip as well as Go Comics and your podcast. Where can folks listen to you?
DMZ America podcast.
Excellent. And we were talking off the air a little bit. We were talking about we talked earlier about the stresses and strains of the holidays, and I think that maybe post-election a lot of people are kind of in a grump. But I had okay. You know what I need? I need a segment. I'm going to start a segment called "Am I Crazy?" Am I crazy? Am I crazy?
I love it.
Am I crazy? What's what? So we had to go to the Department of Revenue today in Des Plaines, and my mom was taking care of some business, and there's like a glass wall, like a little glass divider between you and the person behind the desk, and he started it like this. Scott, he goes, before we said anything, he goes, are you looking for the IRS? Because we're not the IRS. People come in here all the time thinking we're the IRS, and I was like, okay. So I had my mom show him the letter, and he goes, okay, you're in the right place. It just assumed that we were dumb. Or I get that you're annoyed, but now we've started this off on the wrong foot, right? So I'm trying really hard to, kill them with honey, right? Just try to, because you don't want to mess with people who have power over your money, right? So okay. I was like, okay. And then we gave him the letter, and he goes, okay, you're in the right place. And so then I heard a ding in my purse. I pulled out my phone, and I had not seen the little signs, and he goes, put your phone away. You can't have your phone out. Right? It's the people with Social Security, and he started yelling at me. So he points to the sign in front of me, and it wasn't too big a print, but it said, while you're at the counter and doing business, business, do not use your phone, right? So it says very clearly, and as we were sitting down, Mom was like, what did he say to you? Because he asked to sit down and wait. I said it in Spanish, and I don't think the Spanish was very good, Lady B, I'll be honest. I said, no puedo usar su teléfono cerca de la ventana, right? Which is don't use your phone near the window. I don't know if that was, I haven't spoken Spanish fluently in years, but so I said it loudly because I knew he was Latino. I said it just so I was clear on the information he gave me. Do not use your phone near the window, right? So we sit down. I pull out my phone. He starts yelling at me. What are you doing with your phone? What did I just say to you? Right? And starts yelling at me like I'm a child. And I said, you pointed to that sign that says, do not use your phone while doing business at the window. And he goes, well, you can't use it in here. It's a lawsuit if you get someone's social security number. I'm like, oh my God. Then there just needs to be, as you walk in, a big red sign that says, do not use your phone. Do not pull your phone out for any reason whatsoever while you're in this room. I mean, so my question is, am I crazy?
No, that is, I mean, first of all, did you remind this individual that he works for you?
No, I don't do that. I don't do the you work for me thing. I don't do that. I just try to go with the, I try to reflect, but this tells you what's going on in this country, right? Like I quantifiably can show you what your instructions were because you said, read the sign. So I read it back to you and you said, well, you can't use this in the room. That is not what the sign says. So.
Yeah. You're not crazy. No, that's
but here's the thing. But that's how I feel like with everything that's happening. Am I crazy? Like with people voting for Trump. Are we the ones? Like, are we the ones that are not getting it? I'm sure there's somebody listening.
God, do you ever think that? I mean, honestly, thank you, Patty. Am I crazy? Thank you. Because I'm thinking, okay, 52% of the vote, roughly, rounding up. Am I the crazy one? Am I the one who doesn't get it?
Yeah. Did I not see the sign that said? So people were like, he did January 6th. We saw the videos. We saw, what he said during the campaign. Which we saw all the signs, and people went, okay, all right, and then
that's cool.
Yeah, all right. And then some of these pics. Scott, this guy, Hegseth, I saw this post yesterday where he literally said, because folks who don't know about Peter Hegseth, who's been named to head the Pentagon, has said he's been all these allegations of rape, sexual abuse, of drinking and public drunkenness, bringing coworkers, including women, to a strip club, and then trying to get on stage with the performers, and so yes, and then his mom says yes, he's terrible, and then now she's calling Fox News and saying, no, my boy's just fine, whatever. But yesterday apparently said, well, if you make me the head of the Pentagon, I promise I won't drink anymore, which is the most alcoholic thing you could possibly say.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap. What?
Yeah, I won't touch another drop, I promise. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I mean, no, and then Getz as,
Oh, that's nuts. I mean.
Head of the FBI. I mean, geez. I mean, and then, then you have Blondie, is that her name now, who's now going to head up the FBI?
Or the DOJ. I can't remember.
DOJ, Department of Justice, yeah. And she's going to do former Attorney General, so she apparently has a law degree from, someplace. She's the former AG for Florida, but, then you start thinking about Florida jurisprudence, and it's going, I want boring in those, and that's what I had a bit of an argument with a friend of mine who is a Trump supporter, and defended so many of the choices. And I said, he goes, what do you want? You know what I want? I want boring.
Yeah.
I want someone who's like, this guy or woman was, she was in the armed services for X amount of years. She left the service as a full colonel, or as full bird colonel, or as a general. She went into private industry, and blah, blah, blah. And, is married, has children, and, keeps her lawn up. That's what I want. I don't want.
Here's how boring it used to be.
I don't want someone to burn it all down.
No, and I think. Do you remember some of the most controversial cabinet picks in the past? Like a couple of them had hired illegal immigrant, undocumented individuals to be nannies, or whatever the jobs were. Trying to save money. But I think that the most this one always cracks me up was Bill Clinton had chosen to be the Surgeon General was Jocelyn Elders. And the reason they removed, do you remember the reason why they said she could not be? Don't look it up. The reason that she could
I'm not.
the controversial thing that they found in her past was that she recommended masturbation as an alternative to having sex at a young age.
I thought she actually did become I thought she actually did.
She
become
did, and then had to step down. Mm-hmm.
Because she had the temerity to suggest that, people do what people do, and oh my God.
Yep.
Okay.
What did she do? Yes, she had Governor Clinton appointed her, Dr. Elders, because she had been his head of the Arkansas Department of Health from 1987 to 1992. I guess the best way to Google this would be masturbation as the reason that she. But that was like
I want to see your ad stream for the next 10 days.
She was asked whether it would be appropriate to promote masturbation as a means of preventing young people from engaging in riskier forms of sexual activity, and she replied, "As per your specific question in regard to masturbation, I think it is something that is part of human sexuality." Right, which I think is a good answer. I think there's more to that. And I lost the page because, to your point, I'm probably getting other video pop-ups because I put that word in there. So he fired her for encouraging masturbation education.
Did he fire her for?
That's what this article. In Newsweek, as of 2016, a new documentary explores the history and enduring taboo of masturbation, including the curious case of Jocelyn Elders, the Surgeon General whose tenure came to an abrupt end after she suggested that masturbation should be taught in school. Not like she wasn't going to show videos or give out pamphlets for it, but just just if you feel rather than giving into or seeking
just
it out,
acknowledge it and say that this happens. It's a normal thing that human beings, and many primates do as well. If you go to the zoo, you can watch it. That was always an area of conservative thought and conservative, leanings. That was always like I had no idea why they opposed it so vehemently.
She also apparently favored handing out condoms to public school, high school students, inspiring.
I think that was it.
Rush Limbaugh called her the condom queen. See, this is what we need. But this is what we need to find these things and run with them in similar like that. Like so, condom queen takes off, right? And so she got a rebuke from the Clinton administration, but encouraging kids to rub one out was too much, I guess. Sorry. Because it wasn't the condoms that got her fired. It was the masturbation, because she felt teaching them about it might reduce unsafe sex. I think that is something that is part of human sexuality, and it's part of something that happens that should be taught. But we've not even taught our children the very basics. So,
well, they never. I mean, honestly, was it ever mentioned to you? I mean, I don't mean to be indelicate, but did that particular
my
practice
mother
ever?
Because I was caught so many times doing it when I was young, my mother wanted to send my mother wanted to send to be very serious, seriously, I know because I just found this out recently from a friend of mine who's a social worker, and she said that survivors of childhood sexual assault often start at a young age touching themselves because they're trying to explain or understand what happened to their bodies at a young age. But that's not something that we understood, and I never got any sort of counseling when I was little. It wasn't something you did in the 70s. And so my mom caught me, and I mean, like, to the point where I would bleed. I mean, it was like, it was.
Goodness.
So my mom was going to send me off to, like, because we were Mormons at the time. She wanted to send me off to Mormon camp and stuff like that. So I'm fine. I'm totally fine, Scott. I'm complete. Can you tell?
Wow. Golly. I'm sorry. Because, I mean, it's just like, but it was one of those things that, I mean, no one told me.
No one told me. No, but I'm saying when I got caught, I was like, it was basically like, you shouldn't be doing that. You should go somewhere and learn why you shouldn't do that, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
Is this too long a story, or is this I don't mean to be.
No, go ahead.
Because I don't know that I've ever asked you about the Mormonism in your family. You've mentioned it several times.
Sure, I talk about it on the show. Yeah.
And yet your mom is no longer a member of the
I would say she's religiously eclectic, I think would be. She doesn't, she's not ready to write off the possibility, but she's dabbled in Buddhism, in Mormonism. She was raised in a Catholic household and unfortunately spent time in a Catholic orphanage because her mother wanted to go pursue a career in acting. And so I think and she doesn't have good, fond memories of the Catholic Church in Mexico. So yeah, she comes to church with us, because she likes the music and the community, and which I think is what church should be. I think church should be community and similar thought. Like the teachings of Christ have absolutely nothing to do with what's happening with this Christian nationalists.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, nothing. Zero.
Yeah.
Nada.
Yeah. So
nothing.
Yeah, and Mormonism is based on kind of folding in the teachings of Christ in a way, but also elevating America as being and feeds into this idea of America being the chosen one. And then Mormonism sort of has become, and I know I'm shorthanding this, so if you're Mormon, hang on. But we have, as we can see with Mitt Romney and the uber wealthy, like these are chosen ones. If you are wealthy, it means that God loves you more, kind of a thing. So the aspiration is to become wealthy. And there's tithings and things like that. But there's some great documentaries out there about the Mormon Church, both in depth and some really horrifying branches of the Mormon Church that are just polygamists and these really really bad, horrible, like bad stories. So if you're Pray, Love, Obey, I think was one of the ones that it made me sick, and it just reminded me of a lot. Not I did not have any assaults in the Mormon Church that I recollect, so I'm not saying that, but just the energy, like the idea of gathering righteous souls and that kind of stuff. But at any rate, that's and I think I've told you. Go ahead. No, you go.
No, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay, I was just going to say, I was able to. This is. I swear to God, this ties in. I was able to follow a branch of my family tree back to the 1300s, but that's because the Mormon Church had gotten a hold of the records and posted them, which is great. But I don't know, and I know you know this. You know what's coming because they get these records. They get the baptismal records of various churches, and this was obviously old churches and going back to the 1300s in France, and they baptized these people Mormon.
Yeah.
Now, could you imagine being a Frenchman in Frenchman heaven?
Just get yanked out. Right? Having wine and cheese and women.
Yeah, you're smoking a cigarette, you're wearing your beret, everything is grand, and then all of a sudden you're in Mormon heaven without tobacco or wine. Sacre bleu! What the heck?
Yeah. I remember seeing those. If folks, you can Google this. You can Google these big vats they have to like with basically like those baskets that they put people in when they're being airlifted, like these metal cages for bodies. They'll put the bodies, like people who just died who were not baptized Mormon, into these baskets and lower them into the baptismal.
I haven't seen this.
Oh my God, that was traumatizing when I was a kid. I got a lot of trauma from my childhood, but yeah,
I was going to say,
I know a lot of and I was obsessed with. And I used to
So they baptized a corpse?
They would baptize corpses. I feel like we should take a break so you have time to go ahead and look that up. Yeah,
okay.
Corpse baptism. Mormon Church. Enjoy.
Wow.
More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm going to take a couple texts when we come back. We're hanging out with Scott Stantis, the cartoonist for the Chicago Tribune. You can find him at gocomics.com as well, and on Center Clip and the DMZ. I never remember this one.
DMZ America Podcast.
DMZ America Podcast. More when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
How's the show going?
Oops, sorry. Hold on a second. I have to catch up with my commercials because I think I missed a couple. Let me do this one, and we'll be right back with Scott Stantis. And I do see that I might be wrong. Maybe this was something they used to do, but I can't find the pictures of the baptizing the corpses mortem on WCPT. That's such a weird thing to say out loud. We'll do this and this.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Let's come back. Hi, everybody. We are on with Scott Stantis, and so I don't know what pictures I saw when I was a kid about these baptismal sort of the facilities for baptizing someone who had died. But you're right. So what they do is hi, everybody. We're on with Scott Stantis, the cartoonist for Chicago Tribune, and we went down a path of my former years as a Mormon and some of the things that scared me. And I can't find. I know I saw them, like images of them when I was a kid, Scott. But they're saying the information I have is that they will baptize somebody to baptize someone who has died in absentia, so like a proxy. But you're right. They actually baptized. There was a group that baptized Holocaust victims. Like, why would you? To your point, like, what is happening? So, Yeah.
Imagine their surprise.
Imagine. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. What else do we want to talk about? I forgot what we said.
You had some text you wanted to mention.
Oh, yes. There's some text. Because
and plus Jim had a second part to his question.
He did have a. Okay, let's do Dave from Hoffman Estate first. Dave says, I see on the news they have found that shooter's backpack, and they're in the process of bringing it to the forensic labs. Tell Scott on that show, Brandon, that they also cut the buttons off Chuck Connor's jacket in the ceremony of defrocking him too. There you go. There you go.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome. And then another texter says, so we were talking, you were talking about the economy and where we were in the late 1960s, I believe. You were saying that, how had we gotten to that point? And I actually did not, because, when we talk about being a Democrat and folks are like, are you a Clinton Democrat? Are you a Bernie Democrat, Socialist Democrat? I'm an FDR Democrat. I think we've talked about this before. I am wholeheartedly a FDR Democrat. So a listener says from the 312, sorry, Scott, but those boom years for the middle class were due to FDR and his New Deal policies, which the Republicans made it their mission to destroy. They largely have, and the situation as it is now exists as the result. Democratic policies help people, Republican policies, but I will say help the wealthy and corporations, which has been going on since the late 1800s. But I will say that, Democrats are not, many of them are corporate Democrats who take the money of big pharmaceutical companies and healthcare companies and land developers, and that causes a lot of the problem. And Citizens United did not help us with that. It just made it worse.
Yeah, I think in large part that's that kind of view of, and the fact that a lot of the union membership in that social and economic strata felt deserted, and not just deserted, but sneered at even by the Democratic Party, rightfully or wrongly. The Democratic Party's just got to go back. You and I are absolutely of the same mind. If the Democratic Party wants to be viable again, and they are, it's preposterous to say that they lost an election. It happens. They'll be back. But I think if they go back and really embrace the FDR coalition, they're gonna win for another 2 generations like they did in the 1930s.
We got to dig in. So the second part of Jim's question, and we have about a minute and a half, is so how racist are conservatives? Or the Republican Party or MAGA? I don't know which part you want to say.
I think that there's a lot of it. Certainly not all of them. I think there are some who really feel that blowing up the government and tearing it all down to the ground is exactly the way to go. It's the only way to go. I like to. I'm more of an incrementalism. I don't like blowing things up. I like to take things a step at a time. But how racist are they? Absolutely. I'm not good. I used to fight you on that.
Yes.
When you and I first started, when I was talking on your show years ago, I would fight you on that because most of the people I dealt with in the Republican Party were not.
Right. But my contention has always been that if you're willing to vote for somebody who says racist and horrible things, like even just asking for Barack Obama for his birth certificate, you're buying into the lies and the hatred. That was my.
But how do you explain the significant uptick in black voters, especially black male voters, and Latino voters? We were talking.
Because Latinos
it's on my podcast.
Yes, I think many Latinos want to aspire to be white in the white community. Like they're the Irish, the Italian, you know what I mean? And you can never not be black. But you can be white.
Yeah.
If you're,
yeah. I was shocked. Clarence Page was not kind enough to be on my podcast recently, and he mentioned that his son voted for Donald
that's right.
Trump.
That's what we were going to talk. Yeah.
This is not a secret. This wasn't something I was said in confidence.
Clarence Page, by the way, black journalist for the Chicago Tribune. If folks don't know.
Well known. You'd know him if you saw him.
Yep.
And one of the nicest men on the planet. And he was chagrined, to say the least.
Yep. Well, check that podcast out. We have to run. Let's go do Whiskey and a Cookie on the Patti Vasquez show page.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Lady B. Randy Rhodes is up next. Thanks, you. Everyone have a great evening. Don't forget to also stay tuned for Matt McNeil at 9 o'clock. Bye, everyone.